Okay, welcome back, hockey fans. We are live in Chef's Kitchen. I'm your host, Chef, and I'm here joined with, as always, former NHL player agent Dave Frost. We have a lot to cover today. So, Dave, how are you today?
I'm good. Lots going on with the Leafs. Lots.
Yes. Yep. Well, let's start right there with Sheldon and the Leafs. What's going on?
Well, it looks like he flipped the lines around, which, Christ, it's about time. Now, I know he was hesitant because Nylander and Tavares and Bertuzzi being so hot, but the whole city seems to know what we've been talking about for months, which is Marner just doesn't seem to have it.
No.
And what's bad about this, in my opinion, is now it's everywhere, and it's like the flu. It's gone through every team. So every GM in the league is probably the ones that were even Marner lovers before will be hesitant.
Right. They want to purchase Marner on the dollar. I mean, or for pennies on the dollar. He's never been this bad, but at the same time, when has he ever really been that good? I mean, he masked the 100-point season or the 99-point season with Matthews, and when Matthews had his goal scoring, the one that shattered the record. Why is that? Why do you think that clubs evaluate the Leafs now, knowing full well that the money has to match Toronto if they were to trade him?
I just think what you do to yourself in these circumstances when you overvalue your own player, and then it now this has happened. How are you ever going to get real value unless you trade for some other 8+ million a year player who isn't, I guess, playing up to expectations?
Right.
I'm telling you, man, they're going to get their balls caught in the door here, and they're going to get stuck with this contract and this kid that can't compete. I mean, just look at the Florida game last night. The way Florida plays in your face, like Tkachuk's such a pain in the ass. He's banging into the goalie, and he's not doing anything crazy, but
Right.
he's just in their kitchen enough to get everybody wound up. And I can't tell you, man, like the Leafs are never gonna move forward under the current condition. No way.
Right. So, breaking news here in Chef's Kitchen with Dave Frost. Corey Perry placed on unconditional waivers. What do you think of that?
I mean, someone will snag them,
Sure.
but they're gonna want to know what the hell it is. Like, I doubt very much it's the mother's trip. I mean, I guess it could be. They call him the worm for a reason, but
Right.
I can't see it being that. But the guy was having a good year. He had to have done something shitty for Chicago to just say, okay, we're not even going to trade him.
Yeah, they just sent him home.
And
so
now they put him on waivers officially.
Yep, just happened a minute ago.
Well, someone's going to get him.
Yeah.
There's no way, unless he's done something insane.
Right.
Like, why would you not pick him up?
Well, exactly. And I mean, he's making the league minimum, I believe. He's not making, he's not going to crack your cap.
No, I think he's making $1 million,
Yep.
but it was a 2-year deal too, wasn't it?
Oh, I don't know. I'm
But
frantically
I
looking
don't
that
care.
up now.
The guy's worth it.
Oh yeah.
As long as he didn't do what the rumors are saying. And I talked to a guy that said, no, goddamn, he did not do that. But like, you don't know what it is. I mean, until you know, you're gonna phone the agent before you pick him off waivers.
We're I would never say you're wrong, but we're both not right. It is a 1-year deal, but it was $4 million.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
He got $4 million.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fuck, third, fourth line guy.
Yeah.
He was playing great for them though.
He really was, and he's great on that third and fourth line. It's hard to fathom. I used to see him for years out here in Anaheim, and
he was a stud out there, man.
Oh yeah, yeah, and that was a Brian Murray draft. That wasn't Brian's. That was it was Brian Burke, but it was Brian Murray's draft that really set up Anaheim for that cup. And
I tell you, he would fit nicely in Toronto. I just don't. The problem with Toronto is their back end. So where do you focus? But he would be great.
I've always thought when he left Anaheim, when they let him go, they bought him out. I don't know why he just didn't come straight home. Why he didn't go straight to Toronto.
I don't think Dubas ever really got serious with him.
No, and I think that would have been Lou, wouldn't it?
I can't.
It was pre-bubble.
Tampa. It was smart. Tampa picked him up.
Yep.
Christ, he played what? A year in Dallas.
Yep.
A couple years in Tampa.
Montreal.
Oh fuck yeah! He went to
he went to the finals 3 straight years. He went to the bubble finals, then he went to the shortened season finals, and then Tampa, and watched them lose all 3 times. It was like the Buffalo Bills of Corey Perry. He lost three straight.
Unless he did something totally untoward, someone's picking him up.
Yeah.
But like Chicago, fuck this whole just come out with it, man. Like your organization's already a joke with the shit that goes on.
Yep.
With that other stuff, just be transparent right from the start.
So now, what do you think about that? That was the obviously the Joel Quenneville mess with Stan Bowman. As a player,
I really don't think had anything to do with Joel. Other than the fact he knew, and he just sort of trusted Bowman to take care of it, and it was never really taken care of correctly. I think Joel got stiff there. I feel like,
and lost his job 5 years later in a different organization.
Like that's bullshit, but it is what it is.
So, what do you think about? I'm sure as a player agent, you've dealt with players that were on teams like that were slighted. What advice would you give to a player that played on that team when it wasn't punished? I mean, I know that sounds like you're protecting a little bit here,
Chicago?
But yeah,
I don't know if you can blame the NHL roster because they're not there's too much going on. This happening like a training camp or something, didn't it?
Right, I believe so. And then I also believe, I want to say it happened while they're in the playoffs. Like the player was rehabbing from an injury and was seeing this medical assistant coach or whatever the heck that was. I mean, it was nobody that was behind the bench.
Yeah, can't. I don't think Joel or the roster, any of the guys, can be held to any account on. That's not their deal, man. They're busy, and it's not in their line of sight. I get that Joel was told after, hey, this guy, blah blah. whatever happened. I don't know. I don't like the way Joel took a hit. Like, what'd you want? Jonathan Taves to stand up and go, oh, I will not stand for this in the middle of playoffs. Come on.
Right. Exactly. So my next question is, if
Now,
we could stick with
wait a sec. That's bullshit. It shouldn't happen to the kid.
right,
And I'm glad
absolutely,
he stiffed Chicago for some money. But in the
right,
end, the players and or Joel should be not involved.
right, right, and that was the biggest thing there with Chicago. So, what do you think possibly Corey Perry could have done? What would lead this to happen to a player? I mean, it's not like they're making a big playoff push, but they're selling out, and Perry is producing. What could possibly have happened? What?
You know, when, because I thought they were putting them on waivers, and then
Right,
you just said it's come out now. So at the end of the day, it's got to be something pretty serious for them to just say, you know what, we're not even going to get a tangible asset back. Because
right,
I would think you could flip them for picks or other team's fourth liner or whatever. But they're almost screwing them by waiving them, because then there's no trade of money. It's
right,
just you pick up his $4 million. I mean, 4 sheets with salary cap is a lot. Now, there's some teams with room. So
exactly.
as long as he didn't do something, like I said, really untoward, somebody's picking him up.
Well, they've also added on to the release statement that says, after an internal investigation, the Chicago Blackhawks have determined that Corey Perry has engaged in conduct that is unacceptable and in violation of terms of both the standard players contract and the Blackhawks internal policies that
Okay,
promote
so they're trying.
professional and safe work environments. Go ahead.
Okay, so what that tells me is they're trying to get out of paying him now.
Yeah.
They're saying he breached his code of conduct. So I wonder, now the PA is going to step up for him.
Yep. Wow.
God damn, if these rumors are true, he's finished.
Really?
Oh,
You
yeah.
think that would end his career?
Oh, yeah. He'd be done. Because nobody would, other teams, players would be like, are you shitting me? Like, there's a point in the NHL where it's not funny.
Right.
You know, it's not a joke. It's not a guy being a guy. You know, if this is true and it's a mother of a player, that's just that's untoward to me.
Right. That's the end of the line, you think?
Yeah. So if it's not that, and they said internal investigation, and he was just maybe a shithead off the ice, you know, people can overlook it, but this sounds pretty ugly. It's starting to sound uglier.
Yep.
Code
Yes.
of conduct.
Yep. And a Hawks code of conduct, if you can believe that. I mean,
Yeah, I didn't know
what could be worse?
I didn't know they had one.
I think they wrote it last night. So I don't know if you know much about this with LeBron James and Delonte West. I don't know if you know that story at all, but
No, I see him. He was pissed last night. I seen an interview after the game. He's basically saying there needs to be changes, right?
right.
So what's the story behind it?
Well, the biggest thing is that there needs to be some sort of policy for, like you said, the code of conduct and the ethics. Do you think Corey Perry would end up back in Anaheim if he's allowed to come back now? This is pretty big. Do you think he could come back to Anaheim?
Honest to God,
You think he's done?
I think if he did this, he's finished. I think if it's something else, And like I said, the transparency's being horseshit with Chicago.
Right.
And it
Right.
leaves people out speculating like we are. And that's why I hesitate to even say it, because I don't want to, because I've been through it before where
Right.
a bullshit story gets legs. Steve Simmons writes bullshit and then it becomes fact when it's so far from fact. Like, I talked to a guy in Toronto that told me Phil Kessel never ate hot dogs.
Really?
Yeah, he never once went to this vendor that Steve Simmons said he went to, and Kessel would eat hot dogs on game day and whatever else Simmons lied about, like typical Simmons. I talked to a player on the team, and he goes, I filled a lot of things, but that whole story is fucking bullshit. But
Really?
it is almost around the NHL as a known fact that, oh yeah, Phil Kessel. No, Phil Kessel did not. But stories grow legs. So if you're Chicago and you know your superstar's name is getting bandied about, would you not immediately that day come forward and go, well, it's not that? Or
Right.
if it is that, say, you know what? Corey Perry's done. And here's why.
I can't believe that Chicago has not come out. You're absolutely right. That he that Chicago is actually so I'm saying it sideways here. I can't believe that Chicago has not come out and defended their star athlete. That's their meal ticket. They're kind of letting his mom twist in the wind. That leads me to believe that it's true.
Think of the poor kid now.
Yeah.
I mean,
He's
the kid's on the teeter of stardom. He's
Yep.
in the first 20 games that he can simply play. And now he's got to deal with this bullshit if it's true.
Yeah. Yep. And where are the Hawks for that, defending the
It's just another example of them having zero idea how to handle shit.
brutal.
God, I hope it's not that for the kid's sake. And I hope it's not that. Maybe Perry gets to continue somewhere.
You know, it's just it's going to be a mess. And you're absolutely right. When the Players Association gets involved, I don't know. You're right. I think they're going to try to push him out of that contract and void the rest of it. I mean, that sounds, like you said, that sounds serious. Okay, so getting back, go ahead.
Wouldn't you love to see the Leafs with Corey Perry, though?
You took the words right out of my mouth. I was just about to say, getting back to the Leafs, what do you think the possibilities would be there? I mean, every time somebody gets in trouble, you always want to go home.
Yeah,
that's home.
You know, it's funny. They'd have to clear some cap.
Right.
I guess, wait a sec. If Kleinberg goes on long term and it's serious, I guess money out, money in can work, but they really need to get this D situation set. I mean, okay, so you're playing Marner with Tavares and Bertuzzi. While Marner and Tavares' history has been good.
Right.
And Nylander will be good no matter what. He's been solid all year. Matthews got to get his head out of his ass.
Yep.
I like Nyes. I think Nyes is solid. But at the end of the day, I think that line will be fine. But if you look at the way Marner's playing, And everybody and his brother all of a sudden are saying what you and I were saying months ago. Oh no, oh no. I just don't know if this kid, like, the pressure. Like, I heard a guy the other day say he plays really immature.
Right.
Look at his body language when he makes a mistake. He throws his head in the air, shit like that. The Pee-wee players do, right?
Yep.
And I've heard stories about how his dad tells him how great he is and whatever. Hey, look, I got 2 kids. You're supportive, but you're not stupid.
Right.
I think the pressure's finally mounted for this kid in his hometown. The microscope is too big. Guess what? Maybe he'd do better in some southern city where he's not on spotlight all the time. But here's the problem, Chef. Like I said, now the writing's on the wall. You're gonna have to get a GM to say, you know what? I believe the reason why he is slumping is because of the pressure of Toronto. Get him out of there, he'll be fine.
Yep.
You can say that, and you and I both know when he gets into a playoff series, the truth comes out.
Because he doesn't.
Exactly. So
It's brutal.
I'm shocked.
Well, my thing is when you went over that line, the top 2 lines for the Leafs a moment ago, you had Marner and Nylander switching. I don't know why you would want to punish Bertuzzi. I would just I would flip Austin Matthews and John Tavares. I would have Bertuzzi and Nylander flanking Austin Matthews. And the reason being is, you know, I hate to say it like this, but Bertuzzi has the worst hands of Matthews and Nylander. Why not stick them with somebody that's going to get their nose dirty, dig the puck out of the corner, and start feeding it to JT and to Mitch?
I'll tell you on that point. I can't remember where I heard it. I think it was on JD. You don't get that. There's
No.
There's a Bunkus. I think that's his name, Bunkus. He does a podcast, but he's also on 590 in the mornings.
Right.
And I was cooking breakfast either yesterday or this morning, listening to his podcast, and they said, "Why are you trying to screw that line? If Marner's slumping, put him on the 3rd line."
Exactly.
But you know what?
Robertson's doing pretty good.
Yeah. But they said, Sheldon Keefe won't do that because Marner will go crazy. You know what I mean?
Yep, he'll never get him back. And I know just a moment ago I had Bertuzzi with Nylander, with Nylander and Matthews, and also with JT and Marner, but digging the pucks out for JT and feeding Marner. But to further that is, why have him doing that with someone that's not productive? That, like, the whole thing is production. I'd rather have knees getting set up by Marner than Bertuzzi. I mean, it just makes more sense.
Yeah, there's
But
doubt. It's a, I guess you could call it this. It's a move focused on keeping Marner still happy.
Yeah.
Whereas I'd be like, screw Marner. So you know Elliot Friedman, right?
Yeah, I know Big Elliot. Yeah.
He's the Sportsnet dude.
Yep.
I don't like him, but anyway, Corey Perry is on waivers. Chicago is terminating his contract. So,
and no bark from the players union.
oh, they will.
Oh.
But if you're saying he's in violation of both
Yeah.
terms of the contract and the Blackhawks' internal policies,
Yep.
dude, like this is serious.
Yeah. He's in trouble. He is in trouble. That is for sure. So my next thing is, and we touched on it last show, and you just mentioned it moments ago. What is you'd have to find a willing party, and
Well,
I
Chef, listen, I hate rumors,
right, I know.
but what else could it be to say all this? Not to say it's Bedard's mom, but what else could it be besides something really, really bad?
You know, when you hear, I don't know, when you hear of things that come out, and this is the first thing they think of, everybody, you even said it. Usually, you squash it. You've got an 18-year-old kid. You're not defending his mom. That's something. I'm surprised the agent hasn't come out for Bedard. You got to protect him. What's going on? Why are
Yeah.
you doing this?
You cannot. Well, I'm going to say it now. All these announcements are now public. Chicago's done a statement. You better fix this because
Yeah.
you cannot let this fester. You imagine the signs in away rinks now?
Oh,
It's
brutal.
It's almost appalling.
Well, I started thinking back. The Leafs were just in Chicago
Yeah.
the day after Thanksgiving. Okay, so this must have happened while the Leafs were in Stockholm because Chicago had, I'd have to look at their schedule. Nobody played on Wednesday, nobody played on Thursday. You're talking early last week. This is a week ago. I mean, I only saw the news about Chicago. Um, Goodness.
I
Well,
just listen to this.
you know what I mean?
Kyle Davidson is expected to address this further at 4 p.m.
Oh, God, please no.
Perhaps the best joke I've seen, and it's not funny, but
No.
I didn't realize becoming a stepfather was unacceptable.
Oh, my gosh, no.
Shooting at Corey Perry. So just imagine what's going on with Bedard right now.
Oh, so here's something even worse.
Even if it's not true,
No, I know.
you need to fix it for this kid.
So do you know how? Let me ask you this. I hope you're not looking, but can you tell me Chicago's last, before they played the Leafs, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 games? Do you know Chicago's last 7 games? The home and roads. You ready for this? They were on the road the Wednesday before Thanksgiving, so they did play before Thanksgiving. They were in Columbus. The game before that, rather, they were home to Buffalo. Then they were on the road while the Leafs were in Stockholm against Nashville. Home to Tampa. This mom's trip was November 9th and the 12th. So they spent Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 4 days in sunny Florida. 4 days. And that was, what's the date of the 28th? That was 20 days ago. 20 days ago that started. No, sorry. 18 days ago. Still close to 3 weeks. You got to be kidding me.
It's absolutely brutal. There's already rumors prior
Oh,
to
gosh.
this. Prior to this, I heard from a guy. Now I don't know Bedard,
Right.
obviously, but I did hear from a guy who used to play in the league that said Bedard was already a little unhappy with the culture in the Chicago room.
Wow.
He didn't think it was all that serious. He was unhappy with the way guys prepared for games. What else did it say?
Right.
Yeah, that was it. So when a young kid, but I don't know, like, what's he comparing it to? Like, it's not like he's a veteran that can compare.
No.
Right?
Right.
And
Well,
this isn't the
right.
NBA. You don't get to go play where you want, right?
Right. Foligno came out and said the same thing a couple of days ago. He was tired of
The rookies, I heard, yeah.
he was tired of the rookies. There is something going on in Chicago for sure. That is, and I'm trying to think. I know they have Luke Richardson on their bench, and I couldn't tell you who the assistant coach is, but they didn't bring in a guy like Bruce to be an assistant, or a veteran NHL coach to show them the ropes. That franchise is, I mean, they drafted well, but oh my goodness, the inmates are running the asylum. That's brutal.
It's hard to lend any credence to Bedard doesn't like the culture, because at the end of the day, he really has nothing to compare it to. Major Junior is not the NHL.
Right.
And if he's unhappy, they're not taking it as serious as he does. Well, that's the nature of the NHL. Some guys are like that, some guys aren't. Luke Richardson's a good guy, good coach.
Yep.
He probably doesn't have enough support, but the organization in it, like, I don't even know who Kyle Davidson is. Like,
I've never heard of him.
he's like a Dubas, another young guy, right?
Correct.
Way over his head type thing. So, my God, this become like a nightmare.
Yeah. It's nuts. I've never seen it. Okay, so here are his assistant coaches. Oh my goodness. Former Whaler Derek King and Kevin Dean, Derek Plant. I mean, my goodness, Jimmy Waite, who's been there forever. I don't know if you remember him or not.
Yeah, I do.
But brutal. Like, just brutal that there's nothing there there's no support framework for the not just the coaching staff, but the upper management to protect Bedard. Brutal. That is almost unheard of. I mean, you think about it, when the Flyers brought in Lindros and the kid was brought in Pittsburgh with Mario, there was a lot there. They brought in veteran coaches and veteran players, and I mean, I get Corey Perry's a veteran that you bring in Foligno, but at the same time, you're only bringing them in for 1 year, and they're probably a trade chip in March. So,
Here's what's gonna happen, Chef. If Corey Perry did not do this, and it's something else, the teams are gonna let him clear. Chicago's gonna terminate the contract, and now he's a free agent. Now you don't got to pay him $4 million.
Right.
Jesus.
So my question is, when does he clear? Is it the end of business today, or is it 24 hours?
Tomorrow, yeah.
Wow. Well, you heard it here first. He's headed to Toronto, folks. No, I'm kidding. That's just, but I can't believe it. Now, let me ask you this. When do you think the truth will come out?
Well,
do you think
if Kyle Davidson, any sense, he stands up today and tells the truth about what the hell's going on, he doesn't have to give, like, details. You better outline it, man.
Yeah, he's not protecting his rookie at all.
Oh,
not
God.
At all.
If it's that kid, wow.
Yeah. Brutal. Brutal. Absolutely brutal.
This is taking on legs of its own, though.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And I know you're reading about it, which is even better. So while you're backfilling some information, let me ask you this. What do you think of the firing of Dean Evison in Minnesota?
I don't get it. I mean, Billy Gearin said for weeks, it's the players, it's the players. And then he got Hines, who's almost identical
Right?
to Everson. It doesn't make sense to me.
It's brutal. I've, I saw the Wild did one thing well in Stockholm, and that was compete. I mean, they were in every game. Um, it's. I know the NHL is a tough racket, but at the same time, my goodness, you push a team that much, you're going to get through.
It's crazy,
And
man.
former Whaler too. I that. So that was my link with that. What do you think of the situation that's happening in Anaheim that we touched on a little bit last week? That Zegras and Drysdale are out, and it's the groin injuries because of the coach is saying it's the groin injuries from missing training camp. What do you think of that? Do you think it's important to have your player there at the beginning of camp?
I do. I think it's important for the team. It's important for your makeup. It's important for the individual player. Very few and far between have players missed camp and gone on. You have to be a special player.
Right.
Patrick Kane signing in Detroit. Everybody says, oh, Detroit now, playoff. Give me a break. It's going to take Kane a month to get acclimated, to learn the system.
Yep.
I don't think that's a massive push. He'll be good for them in the end because he's a good player.
Right.
But he can't miss camp. And I don't know what's going on with the Ducks, but they've lost 6 in a row. And they seem to have become unglued a little bit.
Well, 6 games ago, they were ready to print playoff tickets and play in the parade. That's how it is out here. They love that stuff.
I'll tell you, who's back is the Kings.
Oh, yeah.
Good roster, well coached. And I like Blake. I've always liked Rob Blake. Good player.
Right.
I love that he fired all the wannabes with the Kings.
He got rid of all of them.
Everyone. Feuda, Lombardi, all of them got dusted.
Yep. They need a goalie, and one of the rumors we hear out here is Denault for Ullmark out of Boston. That is the big one. They don't want Jack Campbell back. They don't want. They want a $5 to $6 million goalie, and I believe Ullmark is the best they can get.
Well, if they've played so well, why do you need a goalie? Like to go after a cup?
Yeah, they think they can make a major push and push up those standings. I believe they're in second in their division. It's easy to remember that there's a huge drop off in that division once the Ducks lose 6 straight. But the big thing is that they really think they can make a push. They really think that they're ready for it. And let's face it, they've really built a great team, a young team around Kopitar and Doughty. And
I know it's shocking. They've shown the way to retool on the go.
Yeah, they really have. I'm surprised
I like their coach. I've always liked him.
Really?
I just think he's disciplined. They play a system. He holds players accountable. He's tough. Why you don't like him?
Well, I believe he was at Edmonton when McDavid first got there.
Yeah.
And I'm surprised that he wasn't able to mold a young group of players together like he did in LA. And like he did in San Jose.
There's something in the water in Edmonton, man.
Yeah. Yeah, that's another one. I can't understand.
Dave Tippett's a good coach.
He's a great coach. I never liked Woodcroft. I never really I couldn't understand that hire from Tippett to him. But
I don't know him. I mean, supposedly he was good in the minors, very detailed. But I could tell by his demeanor, not to be an asshole, he just didn't seem tough enough, or that he had that in him.
yeah,
And in the
Yep.
NHL, man, I don't care. Why do you think Mellenby, Rick Tocchet, John Tortorella, why do you think these guys have success? Because they're tough.
right.
Now, John Tortorella's not tough off the ice the way Mellenby and Tocchet would kick the shit out of you. But Torts is tough.
Holds players accountable.
Yeah, that's what drives me nuts about Sheldon. Buck Sheldon had good now and I, so he knows what having a tough coach is about, accountability.
And Torts, right? Wasn't
Yeah,
Torts
and
in Tampa?
He had Torts in Tampa.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, he just doesn't do it.
You know, I also think that Sheldon was handed a roster 2 or 3 years ago that was just
Oh yeah,
soft.
soft as butter.
Yep.
No
And
question.
he can't get out of it. That's the worst, is that he can't. You know, as the Leafs sit today, if you had a clean, like, wipe the slate clean, don't have to worry about buying anybody out, you'd probably pick 10 of those 20 players, maybe 10. I mean, you know, and
Yeah.
pay them the way you should. You get, you know, I mean, Marner and Tavares right off the top. There's no way they'd get that much money in today's market. If they were free agents this summer, they would never get that amount ever. And that's $20 million. That's $20 million sitting on your payroll.
Well, also, would you not say what an arsehole Dubas was from building from the front end out?
Oh,
Tell me Lou Lamoriello would have built from the back end out.
never. Lou Lamoriello, I mean, I hate to say, maybe you don't remember this, but I know you do. But Lou Lamoriello kept drafting goalies until he hit on one, until he got Marty. He had Terreri he brought in from Providence College.
Yeah, but
Elaine Chevrier,
that's
Kirk
my
McLean.
point. He recognizes you gotta have a back. It's gotta be
Yeah.
the goalie D forward.
He never, when he was in Toronto, I know I want to say he had Reimer, and I want to say there was another one that was in between there. But I just could not figure out why Dubas wouldn't go and get a goalie. And Wall is a nice young goalie, but he's got to develop.
Yeah,
And there's
he worries me. I like his upside. I mean, first off, he's huge.
Yeah.
And he seems calm. And those are huge attributes in the NHL today. But aren't you a little worried about the soft goal? Almost every game.
Yeah. I'm worried that he has, I mean, as a goalie, you see the opportunity in front of you. I look at a goaltender as a relief pitcher in baseball. You want to be the closer. You got an opportunity. You're pitching the 8th inning. Here's a young goalie, and he hears everything around him. The Leafs need a goalie. The Leafs need a goalie. The Leafs need a goalie. What does he do? Every time he has a chance to grab the ball, take the net, he fumbles it. And it's not even fucking close. It's like, I could understand you lost a game 3-2. You let in a goal in the third period. I watched him get blown out by Buffalo at home on a Saturday night.
Yeah.
What the hell what are you thinking? This is Toronto.
My problem, Chef, is they can talk about that things don't seem to bug him and all bullshit. That night in particular, it just seems like he's had a couple of decent ones where you're like, oh, thank God they're gonna have a goalie. But then reality hits. Because Samsonov's the same way. he's like the goddamn water tap. He's hot, he's cold, he's hot, he's cold. Like,
Oh yeah.
I just think it sucks for someone from Toronto or someone like you who since 67 has been dying for a win. They just simply they got a good team, but they got big time holes. Like 16's got to go. They need two big solid D. And then the next thing is they probably need, at least in the immediate, a number one goalie. They've been patching it for years.
Yep. They've literally been patching it since since Joseph walked out the door. I mean, or Belfour, whichever one was. I think it was Belfour.
Yeah, I love it. And you know what? Remember back to Belfour. I was an agent then.
Yep.
He brought so much stability to that team.
Yeah. Yeah. He was great. I just can't, I mean, well, one of the worst thing they did was they traded Rask for Raycroft. That was brutal. But who's to say Rask would have developed in Toronto? I mean, their history for developing a goaltender is even worse than picking them. I mean, the last goalie they developed that was any good is Felix Potvin, and they ran him out of town. 5 years later? I remember. Well, I'll tell you this. I remember this for a fact. 1999 in the fall, I'm in Tampa. You were probably there, and Felix Potvin is the backup goalie for the Islanders. So by then he was gone. So you're talking the 93 Cup run with a early 20s goaltender. 5 years later, he's gone. You got to run him out of town. I don't remember him ever having a long-term injury that shoved him out for a season, and a young goalie came up and took his spot. There's no, Lou Gehrig, Willie Pip. I mean, you got to be kidding me. They haven't. And can you name I mean, I'm not yelling at you. I'm yelling with you. Can you name a goalie since Potvin, or even before him, in the last 40 years that they've developed that they've held on to? I mean, they developed Riggett and Bester. They held on to them for 3 or 4 years, and out the door they go. And they've really had a problem with it. I mean, I can't think of another NHL team that hasn't developed a quality goaltender in the last 25 to 30 years.
Well,
just one.
This Wall situation is going to be crucial.
Yeah.
Crucial.
Yep.
I think they're never, like, everybody gets all excited, with Marner and Matthews and the points, and now Nylander. I'm going to tell you what, you wipe your ass with all that. Points don't do shit. Look at the way Tkachuk played last night.
Which one?
Yeah, both, really. But Florida's Tkachuk, in your face, in the grill, causing shit. You gotta play that way in playoffs. Yeah. That's why I'm so, even though it's blacked out in Vancouver, I'm interested in tonight's first couple of periods to see. Hopefully he got a good sleep and a meal last night and he can do it again tonight. How does Toronto respond to him? Because he's not going to fight Ryan Reeves.
Nope.
So who's going to jam up to him?
Nobody.
Well,
I can't think of
somebody better.
Domi, Bertuzzi, no one. I can't think of a defenseman that will.
A 40-year-old D.
Yeah, yeah, Giordano. He'll skate 100 feet to drop his gloves. That's and that's not a knock on him, but I mean, my goodness, they better have Benoit on the D. They better have him ready. It's Kachuk's side. I always call him Kachuk. But push has got to come to shove here, and this is going to be brutal. This is not the game that uh, it's unfortunate, but this is not the game that I'd want any part of if I were the Leafs. I wouldn't. They were in the Panthers were in Ottawa the night before. They shut out Ottawa. They're on a high, and again, you're exactly who on Toronto scares the shit out of you. Like you should, like I can understand. Well, we better not let Matthews go off. He could get 3 or 4 goals. Great.
Yeah, well, that's
That's one
the whole
thing.
point. Nylander and Matthews are scary offensively.
Right.
But physically, who's going to even make you bunt an eye?
Nope. None of them.
Who's going to make the Chuck think, I better not bang into Wall or Samsonov tonight?
Yeah. I mean, he did it last night. He had his brother, I think. Well, that was his brother that did the initiate a lot of that. But it's true. He waited for, I think, I didn't watch the game. I should have, but I think Matthew was in the box when the other one whacked the goalie. I love that.
It was funny.
And I'm forgetting his name, which is even worse. But
Brady was chirping his
Brady.
brother, but it never. God damn, man, Florida. They just play. Paul Maurice always instigates. I love it.
Yep.
He's an instigator.
I love Paul Maurice.
The fact that he carried that team to the final is shocking.
Yeah. Yep.
So, anyway, you're right. This is a setup game tonight. This is bad. And if Toronto doesn't get their head out of their ass, they're going to get their coach fired.
Yeah. This, with all the coaches getting let go, I know Brad came out yesterday and said, my team hasn't had any consistency.
Yeah.
That I mean, it's true. They haven't been consistent.
But he also hasn't really provided the horses yet.
Yeah. Yep.
Like,
can you imagine?
To fire a coach with that D would almost be criminal.
Right. Like you're going to bring in a new coach and you're going to give him the same D and you're going to tell him to succeed. Hey, I know you don't have a number 1 goalie and I know you only have 2.5 defensemen, but hey, let's see what you can do because you can't. There's nothing to do.
The truth is, unless they really falter, I don't think Tree Living will do it.
No. And didn't Sheldon sign an extension or no?
Oh, yeah. He's got this year and 2 on it.
Yeah.
So he's got 3 million reasons why he doesn't really care. But
well, I think the GM bought himself a good coach, but he also bought himself a year or two. Well, not 2 years, but a year to figure out how to improve that defense and get a goalie, because that is it's brutal.
I think Tree Living knows, but time will tell.
I can't believe by 1 year, if Calgary let go of Tree Living and the Leafs picked him up, could you imagine a Matthew Tkachuk, Mitch Marner trade? My goodness.
Hey, don't forget, he quit. He resigned from Calgary.
Yeah.
He wanted to fire Sutter. Ownership said no. So he resigns. And then ownership talks to the players. There's a bunch that want out. If Sutter's coach, then Sutter gets punted. They could have avoided all that.
Yep. And Calgary's they're reeling now. I mean, I know they had a little bit of a streak, but they could have. You're absolutely right. They could have avoided it all if they just listened. Wow.
I bet Tree Living's happy. He's probably making another million than he was making in Calgary.
Yeah, easily. And he's in a great market. I mean, it is what it is, but my goodness.
I know we're closing up here, but Tree Living's father is the Boston Pizza billionaire, right?
Really?
Yeah.
I do know that. I do
Yeah.
know that.
He's on the Canada's equivalent to Shark Tank.
Right. Oh, he is.
Yeah, Jim Tree Living.
Wow.
So I don't think Tree Living worries about money too much.
No. No, and that kind of all nestles in because I had a friend of mine that her parents were retired down in Boca and they wanted to start a pizza business. This was in the late 70s. And Tim Horton had started his donut franchise and then had since passed. And they brought in Bobby Orr to be a pizza, like it was going to be Bobby's Pizza or something like that. Uh, eh, yep. And Bobby didn't want to do it. He did not want to do it. And it lost its legs and that was it. And um, my friend's father moved on to something else. He was a millionaire out of Winnipeg and retired to Boca. But can you imagine that? A pizza place? I mean, it would have been nationwide in Canada. Bobby Orr's Pizza. And and here in Southern California, we have Round Table. That's with the Cobra. Gary Simmons started the pizza place. So, oh my good. I didn't.
Before I let you go, because
Sure.
we're gonna have to circle back when
Yep.
after the Leafs play. Who are the Yankees gonna sign?
They will sign Yamamoto, the relief pitcher. He'll wear number 18, and I believe they're going to take a run at Cody Bellinger. I think
Not Chapman, eh?
No, that's the rumor I keep hearing that. Oh yeah, they're going to go after Chapman. They don't need enough. They don't need a right-handed bat. They don't need another infielder. They've got too many as it is. They need left-handed power bats, and they need pitching. So I would say Yamamoto they would sign, Bellinger they would sign. There's another left-handed center fielder that's in Korea. I think they'll make a run at him. And I think if all else fails, they will overpay for 1 year of Juan Soto. And I cannot get over the way that the Yankees are doing business. It's never been this way. It's always been, George Steinbrenner, get out of the way. It's time for a new center fielder. This is who it is. And that's it. And, George had to deal with a luxury tax. And you're talking about a Yankee team that has its own TV channel, right? And they're not blacked out anywhere. They're everywhere. And it's disgusting. So, but I will tell you this, before any ticket is sold at Yankee Stadium, this is the truth. Before any ticket is sold, before you park your car at Yankee Stadium, their payroll is paid. And not just the on-field talent. We're talking about the scouts. We're talking about the minor league players. Every nickel of a payroll and owner salary is paid before one ticket is sold. That's it. I mean, that's the top of the heap. That's everything.
That's why they're the franchise. They're the number one
Right.
franchise, right?
They're number one franchise, and I believe, the funny thing is, I think the Giants and the Jets are 6 and 7. I know the Cowboys are up there. Manchester United, the soccer team, is top 4, I think, top 3 or something like that. And the Lakers are up there, of course. But
what a racket, man.
well, I mean, but here's the deal: is that's why. And now we're going to get into this really quick, and I know you're up against it, but
no, I gotta jump on a call, so we gotta wrap it up. But
I'll yell about it later, of course.
All right.
Well, it's about the blackouts in the TV. It's just nuts.
Yeah, exactly.
It's crazy.
All right, dude.
All right, Dave.
Until the
Thank you,
next time.
Dave. You betcha. Thanks for listening, everybody. Have a great day.